Hey friends, welcome to my Christmas series 2025. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love it if you hit that button. And of course, here I go with a cereal box. I talk about this a lot, but I've never actually showed it on my channel. It's a great substitute for poster board if you don't want to spend the money, so I'm going to use the cereal box to show you it does work, and it provides a great support for this kind of craft. So I just searched for a mitten template. You can do that online. There's lots of free ones. I liked the shape of this one, and I'm tracing it out onto my cereal box. Next, we're going to cut this out, and we'll be cutting out two altogether. So I am using my handy dandy little glue stick. I love this thing, and of course with wrapping paper, which can be very temperamental when you're working with it. Wet glues are just like a no-go for me. I won't do Mod Podge or glue. You guys could have a try if you want, but I have found it just wrinkles too much. So I'm going to use the glue stick, and I had good luck with that. And of course we glued both of these little mitten shapes down onto the wrapping paper. We're just trimming it out, and this is what we have when we're done. And I'm smoothing it with my hand. You can do that. I kind of massaged the top of the mittens for a while to get the wrinkles out. It worked. So this is the cork from Dollar Tree. It's sticky on one side. I just wanted to cover the back of my cereal box, and I thought this looked really classy, and it made the craft a lot thicker, right? So it's going to hang nicer. And note to self, don't try to cut it when you've peeled the paper off the sticky part. That was so hard. So here you can see I learned my lesson. I traced it first, then I cut it, and then I peeled the paper off, and that worked much better. And of course, we're covering both of these on the back. So you are going to need to trim up little pieces like this just to make it really, really clean. So of course I was back to the sticky, but oh my gosh, you guys, these duster kits, I just found these in my Dollar Tree, and look at how good those look for fur. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. They're feather light. And, you know, you could use the mop head, but if you find these, they're definitely like you're leveling up. It just kind of gave these mittens like a really soft, whimsical fantasy look for winter. I loved that. Look at that. It just looks really wispy. So cute. So I gave it a little light trim, not really because I liked the way the ends looked. And now we're making a bow. So this is the red ticking stripe fabric that I bought actually 3 years ago, and it's still going. So it is a good deal in terms of its longevity. You get a lot. The link is down below in my description box. It's actually Hobby Lobby ticking stripe material, but for some reason it's on Amazon. So I love this, and I used some of the Dollar Tree lace, and I just made like a messy bow, and we're sticking it to one side of the mitten, and then I decided to add a little bit of Spanish moss. I thought that looked cute. And then these little rusty stars also down below in my description box from Amazon in the center of the mittens. Lastly, I always do this stuff last. I don't know why I don't do it first, but I went ahead and used some of the nutmeg brown from Apple Barrel Paint to distress the edges of these mittens, and this is what they look like. Now I'm going to add a hanger to the back of these mittens. So I really kind of struggled here. I didn't know if I wanted to glue it on a sign, you know, and have like a wall hanging that way, but I opted for this. And to make it look neater on the back, I just cut a little bit more of the cork, and I stuck it over where I hung it, and this is it. Let me know what you think. Okie dokie. Okay, we are using the plaid paper that comes from the Dollar Tree. I love plaid wrapping paper. Oh my gosh. And anytime they come up with a new color or style, I will grab a roll. So I am going to bend this in half into 2 even squares and just cut it in half as well. Then I'm just going to take some computer paper, just regular old computer paper, and I'm going to cut a heart shape out of it. Now I'm working with that wrapping paper that's like really wafer thin right now. Probably all of Dollar Tree wrapping paper is like this, except for the one that looks like a brown paper bag. But those Dollar Tree clamps are really helpful for holding things in place. And then you also saw me cut out a piece of the polyfiber fill. We'll get back to that in just a minute. But here is the see-through transparent shelving paper. You can also find this at the Dollar Tree. I've been doing this for years. Whenever my kids and I made anything with wrapping paper that we wanted it to just hold up a little bit better, because wrapping paper does tear really easy, we would just put the see-through shelving paper on top of it. And sometimes if it was small enough, we would use the packing tape, but it's a great little hack. And of course, after you just cut it out along the edge there, this isn't too sticky, so it's okay to cut. So you don't have to trace first and then do it. It's better to actually do it afterwards because you get a closer cut right to the edge of the wrapping paper and it works a little bit better. So we are using hot glue halfway up this, not all the way up this, just halfway up this, because now we're going to be taking the polyfiber fill and we're going to be stuffing this to give it a little bit of bulk and make it look a little bit round. It's so cute, you guys. Now, I don't know why I used the polyfiber fill on a roll. I have the Walmart pillows, you guys. That is cheaper and it already kind of comes apart. I think at first I thought I was just going to put it flat and do a little bit of a bulk and leave it like flat polyfiber fill, but then I found it actually worked better when I broke it apart into little fluffy pieces and then stuffed it that way. And this is what we have so far. So I'm going to put an edge on this of the mop head from Dollar Tree. I thought that kind of looked cute. It looks a little bit like, I guess I was thinking the red and white kind of reminds me of Santa's suit. But just as a side, if I had to do this craft again, I would actually not put a border on it at all, because the thing about this craft is you can shape it and round it out. So you see how when I was stuffing it and it was done, it kind of looked like it had little pits in it and uneven areas, but I kept rounding it with my hand and kind of squishing the polyfiber fill down, and we get a very smooth surface. And when it was hanging on the tree, I realized it actually kind of looks like metal. These could pass for metal or ceramic. So if I had to do it again, I would, I think, hang it with a wire and leave the border off. I still think this came up really, really cute. You can always do different varieties. But if you wanted to give the illusion that you have like little tin, metal or steel, you know, little ornaments hanging, just leave it. Just leave the border off. So I went ahead and started decorating it with pine and raffia and a snowflake from the Dollar Tree. And of course, I'm sealing up the little ends there with some hot glue so they don't come unraveled. But we're all done. And I think this came up so cute. And remember, you can shape these. You can shape these. You can see it when it's hanging on the tree now, how smooth it is, because I kept working with it. And these are such an affordable way to make little Christmas ornaments for your tree or gift tags for gifts. Like you can actually gift these as part of your wrapping. These are so much fun. Oh, this one was so much fun, you guys. Okay, so you're going to grab a Dollar Tree stretched canvas and you're going to go ahead and paint it black. Then I just kind of roughly drew a Christmas tree. Now, I say this a lot on my channel. I am not a painter. I am not a artist. I can't draw. I am like a stick person. But I really have, I've actually gotten braver since I've had this channel, because I kind of have to, because I want to make things that I see. And I'm like, okay, we're just going to sketch it out. So this is what I came up with. I think it came out pretty good. I sketched it first on cardboard, and then we're going to go ahead and trace it on the wrapping paper. And for this wrapping paper, I did use the one more like, I guess it's what, packing paper maybe, or the brown paper bag. It just wrinkles a little less. Plus, I loved the snowflakes on the front. It's perfect for what I'm going to do. So then I cut it out. So I just chose to make a template first because, I mean, you can see it. The wrapping paper is rolling up as I'm working with it. It does make it kind of hard to work with. So I just thought a template would be easier because there were those little fine points just to get this right. So now I'm taking my glue stick and we're going to apply it down on this black canvas. And then I chose to make the trunk out of the Dollar Tree burlap ribbon. I just cut off the edges where the wire is right there, and I put the little trunk. I thought that was cute. But you could also cut the trunk out of the wrapping paper if you wanted to. I just thought the difference kind of looked neat. And then I'm adding the Dollar Tree snowflakes. You can get these at the Dollar Tree. They're stickers. It's perfect for this kind. See how it's all snowflake themed? Isn't that cute, you guys? Again, this one is a Christmas/winter craft. You could definitely leave this up all year round. It could be for Christmas. Well, not all year round, but during winter. Well, you could. I mean, if you like winter all year round. But I'm just saying, if you decorate for the seasons like I do, then this one would make a great winter craft. So I stuck those on, and then I just took a little dowel, and now I'm making my little snow it's supposed to be falling snow. And what I do is I make the dots bigger and smaller to give the illusion of like distance, so it has a little bit of depth. I hope anyway, I'm trying to. Anyway, that's it. And then we're going to take a little sponge brush on the bottom and just sponge on some snow. It was that simple. And I think this came up so cute. I did take it outside and spray it with a clear varnish. Let me know what you think. Of course, it's not just cereal boxes, you guys. Also save things like cracker boxes. They all work. So here's a cracker box we're going to use for this one. And of course, we're just going to cut it out. Next, I'm going to use this slide cutter to try and get a more perfect, even cut. And then I'm going to use my glue stick and I'm going to go ahead and attach the wrapping paper. Of course, I attached it on both sides, and then for this one, you really are going to need something to protect it, and I'm going to default to my see-through or transparent shelving paper. It just works really good for these kinds of crafts, and I put it on the front and the back. And if you didn't guess, we are making a bookmarker. I always wanted to do this. I've never made a bookmarker, and I just thought this would be fun, so I'm going to cover it. Then I'm going to punch a little hole at the top and we're going to make a pretty little tassel. And the way that you make the tassel is just to wrap it around your fingers or anything. I chose my fingers. And then I'm just going to tie it at the top. And then you're just going to tie it around the top, however big you want your little like knot at the top to be, or not knot. It's like a little section of like a loop right here. See how I'm just choosing to make like a little loop? It really isn't that hard to make tassels, and then afterwards, of course, you just trim them at the bottom to make them nice and even, and you tie it to whatever you want. And I just think that adds a nice little extra for a bookmarker. I use baker's twine because it's a Christmas bookmarker. My husband loves this, actually. He has claimed this as his own. But super simple and fun to do with wrapping paper. I found this really pretty Santa wallpaper. Isn't it pretty? I love those kind of Santas, and I thought it would be fun to make something out of wrapping paper that looked more like wrapping paper, because those are some of the most challenging ones to do. So we're using the transparent shelving paper again, and we're going to glue it down onto the edge. This is the side part of the cereal box. Now you can see that I'm doing it with hot glue. And you can do it, and you can make them totally flat with hot glue, but the trick is you have to go really fast. That wasn't even really sped up. That was me going really fast with the hot glue, and while it's still total liquid, you smash that down and press it and smush the glue down, and you'll get a flat surface, but you got to move quick. I do have my glue gun on low setting, though, so I don't burn my fingers. So we are going to make some pretty, like, vintage gift tags. I just thought that would be so nice. And this is something I used to do years ago when I was broke, when we first got married, and I just wanted to have nice things, give nice things for gifts, the whole bit. I would take wrapping paper. I used, as I remember, it was the packing tape. It wasn't the see-through shelving paper, but it still worked because these were tiny. And I used to cut out all the different little snowmen and Santas and reindeers and stuff, and just cut out little tags like this. And I would actually decorate them and use them for gifts, but they're perfect for that. Here's another great thing you can do with wrapping paper. This came in so handy years ago. Now I do it more when I'm snowed in, but back then I would do it because I would run out of ribbon. So I would take and just glue two sides together so that you cover the ugly part, because it won't work. Otherwise you can see, most wrapping paper has the side that's white or has the lines on to guide you when you're cutting. So if you want to make something out of it, you kind of have to glue the two those two sides facing each other. You have to glue them down so that you have the design on both sides. So once I had a piece like this that I had glued down, I would just start cutting it in strips. So just cut it in strips just like this. It's still kind of damp from the glue stick, but not totally wet. You could use a very thin layer of like Elmer's glue for this too. It might even give you some more time to work with it. It doesn't work with hot glue. You could use a wafer thin amount of Elmer's glue for this. I have done that before. Not enough to get it soaking wet, just enough to hold it down and wait for it to dry, put a book on top of it or something like that. I used to just keep going even when it was still kind of wet, which is why I can't use that slider cutter thing because it would ruin the blade. So I just use scissors. And then I just take my glue gun and I start putting little tiny dots of glue in the middle. And you're essentially making like a messy bow, and you just make it as full as you want, or, as little. This is definitely personal taste. So it can be as full as you want or as little as you want. But you can see what I'm doing here. And then I decide to go really chunky, and then you start curling it. You take scissors and you very gently, because you don't want to cut it because it is wrapping paper, right? It's not quite as strong as ribbon. So, and it curls really easy. You don't need a lot of pressure here. I'm just barely touching it with, like squeezing it with my thumb down against the blade. It curls really, really easy. And look what you end up with. Is that not the cutest Christmas bow? Oh my gosh, I love this one. So I decided to wrap a box so you can actually see this, what it looks like, because it does look really good. Look at that. Isn't that cute? And with these bows, you do have to contend with the middle. So I used to put pine cones in the middle because they were free. I lived up in the mountains. Now I'm showing you, you can take some of the pom-poms. That's a very playful look, but I went with the bell. I thought the bell was super cute. And you'll see what happens with the bell too, which is extra special. And I'm showing you here. You could even use the tag that we just made out of wrapping paper, save even more money. I'm going to go ahead and grab a tag that I have here and put it under, and look at this. Yep, you get the sound effect. Isn't that awesome? I love these little bows, and they're so fun to make. Oh my gosh, one of my favorite things to make still to this day is these little trays using the Dollar Tree frames. You can get them in any size you want. Today we're obviously using wrapping paper, but they are so versatile. And one year at Dollar Tree, I found square frames. I was really shocked because you know how they're usually like rectangle? They were square, and I was like, oh my gosh, these would make great coasters. And I kid you not, I put wrapping paper in them. We had Christmas coasters, and they also served as name tags because I remember putting the name in there as well with the wrapping paper. Drop a comment down below and let me know what you've done with Dollar Tree frames or the wrapping paper, or if you've done this before. I think it comes up so cute and so high-end looking, and it's so easy to do. And you can make this any kind of style you want. Modern, right? Depending on what kind of wrapping paper you use. Primitive, depending on what kind of wrapping paper you use. Playful, bright, traditional, vintage. All of it is on the table. No pun intended, because it depends on the print you pick, right? But look at this. Look at how beautiful this is, and it was so simple to do. Love the way this one came out. It is the snowflake paper again, and I'm just cutting a strip, and we're going to grab a mason jar, wrap it around the mason jar. We're going to make a pretty luminary here, and it's really simple to do. Now, if you're concerned about the design on the back showing, I'm actually going to fill this, you'll see. But if you're concerned about that, then you could glue another paper on the back of that just to hide that. Just some plain brown paper if you want. That's probably what I would do. You could use a paper bag, be super cheap. And I'm just taking some cotton string now, and I'm going to wrap it a little bit around the middle. Then I'm going to take some of the cotton string and wrap just a little bit around the top to tie it in with the center string that we just did. And then I'm going to add a pretty little snowflake right to the center. And that's it. This is definitely a less is more DIY. You can use it all through winter as well as Christmas. I'm just filling it up with Epsom salt. We're going to pop a little votive candle on top, light it up, and enjoy the glow. Such a simple and fun hack to do with wrapping paper. if you had fun in today's video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment. I love to hear from you. Head over to the post section on my YouTube page and check out who won the saw. And as always, if you enjoyed this one, here's another video I think you'll enjoy watching next.
Merry Christmas!